building up for that recall. He brings an Arbiter right over top. Once the probes are there, he brings the dropship in. He manages to take positions. Here comes luxury.
Welcome to the Brood War highlights. This is a match between STX Seoul and Samsung Con. STX has looked strong so far this season, sporting a 5-2 record, good enough for third place overall. They have a very deep lineup with strong players such as Calm, Hwasun, Cal, Hero, and even Frozian, who's gone a respectable 2-1 on the season. Con, on the other hand, has been slumping hard. They're currently in last in the standings at 1-7, and out of their formerly deep lineup of Stork, Jangby, Firebat Hero, and Great, only Stork has been playing good StarCraft, and he's only seen playing time in 3 of Samsung's 8 matches. If they expect to get to the playoffs this year, they really need to start turning it around. Game 1 of this series is being played on match point. This is between Calm for STX and Jangby for Samsung Con. Calm has played very well this season. He's 5-2, including going 4-0 versus Protoss players so far in Pro League. Jangby, on the other hand, has been slumping quite a bit. He's 0-3 this year. That's 2 losses against Zerg players as well. Now Jangby starts off a little bit unconventional, puts down a pylon out in front of Calm's natural. Calm scouts it though and then basically proceeds to ignore it as no gateways go down. He goes 9 pool and then puts down his natural expansion and then going straight into his third. Now Jangby basically does nothing with that pylon as well, just puts down a regular fast expand and then goes straight into dual Stargate and starts pumping out a lot of Corsairs. Calm now puts down his 4th and 5th hatcheries in addition to his Spire, and manages to sneak a Scourge into Jangby's base and scouts this clump of Corsairs, so he knows what's coming, so he builds a lot of Hydras to defend, but it doesn't really matter, because Jangby just powers right in here, wipes out all these Overlords in the natural, goes up to the third, takes out 2 Overlords there, back to the natural, and is just picking off Overlords all over Calm's base. Jangby starting up his third base now and moving out with a small group of troops into the field. He just misses this huge clump of Overlords. Would have been huge if he could have picked those off. And now Jangby just starting to macro up. He's putting down 3 more gateways. He's only on 3 right now and gets a Dark Templar out here to harass this 4th base that's going down for Calm. But Calm has just been churning out Hydras this entire game and he busts right down into Jangby's natural. Jangby doesn't have many troops on the ground. He still has a large Corsair fleet, but it does him little good here, as these Hydras just power right through this third base, right down into the natural as well, trying to break in there. Hydras and Lurkers just running through Jangby's army, and Jangby just has nothing to fight these off with. He just built so many Corsairs and invested so heavily in that, and he drops to 0-4. Calm picks up his 6th win of the season and takes the first game of this match.
Game 2 is on Outsider. Both players send out their top Protoss players. STX sends out Cal, and Con sends out Stork. Cal spawns teal at the 1 o'clock position, Stork spawns white at the 5 o'clock positions. Both players go for 1 gate into a core and then into Robotech. Both players wanting shuttles and reavers. Stork expands first to his backdoor mineral only, and this allows Cal to put a bit of early pressure on. He gets his shuttle out first, and he brings down 4 goons to stand behind those minerals and start picking away at those probes. Stork moves his probes away and then brings his goons down. He gets his first shuttle out, and he'll actually transfer his goons over behind the minerals and kill Cal's goons. Meanwhile, Cal's already expanded to his backdoor mineral only as well. A couple minutes later, he wants to put some pressure on, so he takes 2 Reavers and about a control group of Zealots and Goons down to Stork's base, and he starts assaulting this ramp. He has the firepower to get up this ramp, losing 1 Reaver in the process. Stork is hard-pressed to defend this. He has to bring his probes out to kill this last Goon and Reaver, loses quite a few probes here, but meanwhile, he's already dropped Cal's mineral only and killed a few probes there. So fast forward, Cal's expanded to his natural, but Stork is stalled on his, macroing hard, getting a good Reaver count and some Goons and Zealots, so he's able to actually do a nice timing attack here at Cal's natural. Cal's got some Goons on the cliff and he's defending, but Stork manages to snipe this Reaver while keeping his 2 alive. He draws back and then comes in for a second plunge, taking out a lot of these Goons with these 2 Reavers, loses his shuttle, and Cal's able to defend this without losing that Nexus. But a minute later, Stork comes back with reinforcements. He's got 4 Goons, which then becomes 6, and he manages to take out Cal's natural. Cal responds by doing a nice drop here, gets a good scarab off on these probes, takes out a lot of them. He then expands to the 2 o'clock mineral only. Stork knows about this. He comes in with 4 Goons, and he starts picking away there. And Cal's forced to defend with a drop of his own, but he's down in economy, so he goes all in on Stork's natural. Stork's got those Goons on top of the cliff, keeping those Zealots back, and then the Goons at his natural come out and manage to snipe both of Cal's Reavers. Then he sucks Cal's troops back down into his base where his 3 Reavers can just dominate. He defends this attack very well, and once again he's at 2 places at once. He's got a drop up at the 2 o'clock position, taking out Cal's expansion there. A couple minutes later, he's able to out-macro Cal with his superior economy, bringing in Templar and Reavers with a huge force of Goons and Zealots. Cal GG's. and Stork manages to tie up the series at 1-1.
Game 3 is a ZVZ matchup being played on Fighting Spirit between Hero, the STX player, he spawns white in the top right, and Great, the blue player, who spawns bottom right for Samsung Con. Both these players start off with a 12 pool build, although Hero opts to get his gas first, while the Con player, Great, gets his gas after his pool and then moves up and takes his natural expansion. So the builds will give Hero faster tech, he'll be able to get his mutas out earlier, but Great will have the larger numbers from that extra hatchery. Hero, however, manages to sneak a couple lings here into Great's base, and then picks off 2 drones. Great then masses up lings, he's not even on gas for a little while, and tries to bust in here, but he knows he's got to go quick before these mutalisks pop out, but pop out they do, and they force these troops back. Great now forced to put spore colonies down for defense, while Hero takes his natural expansion safely now that he has mutalisks out. He tries to come down here and harass, but doesn't have a large enough force to do it, so he builds up his force a bit more, then comes down with lings trying to push in the front here, and trying to focus down the spore colony, but he can't target it because of the overlord that's perched right over top. A nice move there by Great. He does, however, manage to come over and pick off a couple drones here of Great's. Both players can tend to macro up now here for quite some time. Each player has an equal number of drones, but Great has more troops on the ground. He's got more lings because he's been pumping off of 2 bases for longer. Now, while Hero's mutalisks are out in the field, he pushes into this natural, breaks the sunken, and gets right up here, although Hero's troops get back just in time to mop this up. Now, Great has actually snuck an expo here at 7:30, and he puts it in a good position where it doesn't get scouted. He gets a lot of gas off that before it gets noticed. Hero eventually figures what's up, puts some lings there, and then tries to pressure in the main at the same time. That doesn't work. He then goes over and does mop up this base, but it gets re-established. He only kills the drones, and it mines a bunch more gas. Hero knows he's down now, so he tries to put an expansion down here at the 3 o'clock position, and then pushes into Great's natural. The armor right now is Great has 2 armor on his mutalisks, and Hero has 1 armor on his. Huge mutalisk battle goes down, but Great ends up with the bigger numbers. He's been pumping that extra gas for longer. He moves up, he takes out this 3rd base, and then moves on over and kills off the rest of Hero's mutalisks. He takes this game, and Con goes up 2-1 in the series.
Game 4 is on Heartbreak Ridge. STX is sending out Frosian and Con Firebat Hero. This is a chance for Firebat Hero to put this series away. Frosian spawns yellow on the left side of the map, and Firebat Hero spawns red at the right side of the map. Both players go for 1 factory into Starport, and Frosian gets the first Wraith out, and manages to harass a little bit at Firebat Hero's natural, but Firebat Hero gets a Comsat out, sends his first 2 Wraiths up there with some Marines, and manages to take this Wraith out before Frosian can get it away. Then we see Firebat Hero put up 2 more starports. That's right, that's a 3 starport build. So then he's going to want to put some serious pressure on with these Wraiths. He comes over to Frosian's natural, but he's driven away by Goliath and Wraith here. And then a minute later, he's in at Frosian's main, kills this Goliath, and he manages to take out a few SCVs here, but then he allows himself to be driven away by this 1 Goliath of Frosian. And I'm going to call that a mistake, because he sends those Wraiths back to the top of the map where Frosian's pushing across with his troops, and those Wraiths can't do anything against Frosian's Goliaths there. He's got about 4 or 5 of them. He's then pushing across the top, and Firebat Hero sets up these tanks and gets a few free hits, but once Frosian sets up his own, Firebat Hero is forced to retreat away and go around and up to the top of the map, and hopefully with his Wraiths, try and corner Frosian's army. But meanwhile, Frosian's got reinforcements, 2 tanks and 6 Goliaths coming across the top of the map there, heading towards Firebat Hero's natural. And Firebat Hero now finds his tanks well out of position, and his only mobility is with these Wraiths that he's unwilling to engage these 6 Goliaths with. So Frosian just walks right into Firebat Hero's natural and starts attacking there. Firebat Hero brings down those 4 tanks to try and attack Frosian from behind, but then finds himself sandwiched as that original group of tanks and Goliaths comes at him from behind. So Firebat Hero unsieges these tanks and tries to walk right around into his natural to get some sort of better position. But they're all destroyed, and only now does Firebat Hero attack with those Wraiths. So Frosian manages to win this game without much of a fight, because Firebat Hero spends a lot of money on Wraiths that he's not really willing to use. So this series is going to the ace match.
Game 5, the ace match, is being played on Moonglaive. It's between Stork and Hwasin. Hwasin for STX, he's 2-1 so far, hasn't seen a lot of playing time on this very deep STX lineup. And Stork, the Samsung Con player, Protoss in the bottom left, he's purple. He is 3-1. He's already got 1 win in this series, and he's looked strong in the limited playing time that we've seen him so far this year. Both these players go for pretty standard builds. Stork goes for a 1-gate into tech build, while Hwasin puts down 1 factory. Gets pressured a little bit here by Stork's early zealot, but he's got 3 marines out, quickly drives this off, then goes for a siege expand, putting down his natural expansion in his base. Stork, however, is going for Dark Templar tech, and then puts his expansion down, although quite a bit later. Fortunately for Hwasun, he's got his eBay already going. He thinks something might be up. Hwasun now moving his command center out to take his natural, but Stork pushes in here. He knows he's not going to win this battle, but he's just trying to distract Hwasun. His DT is on the way, and Hwasun's eBay is done, but he hasn't built any turrets yet. It's been done for quite some time. A bit of a blunder by Hwasun. This TD manages to get into the base, does a fair amount of harassing here before getting driven back. The command center is forced to lift from the natural. The Dragoons drive it back, and it's forced to plunk down here in Hwasun's main base and start a command center. It is burning, however. Now, Stork starts up his Arbiter tech back in his base, as well as getting some more gateways going. Hwasun now deciding to push out in the middle. He's trying to make his way down to Stork's natural, but that command center is still burning and he hasn't repaired it yet. Now, a first-person view of what Hwasun's doing, he's just completely focused on this push here, finally moves back to his base, notices that it's burning, picks it up, tries to bring it back, rushing SCVs out there, but he's not going to make it. This command center actually explodes before he gets there, seconds before his SCV gets there. Possibly blunder of the season here in Pro League. Huge blunder from Hwasun, so he is way down now. He only has one comsat, so Stork decides to push through the middle with his Arbiter, and Hwasun doesn't have the scans to stop it. Stork starts up his third base now, while Hwasun takes his natural again. Stork now knows he's way up in this game, and he starts prepping for a massive recall into the back of Hwasun's main. But in the meantime, Hwasun doing a good harassing here at the natural, then getting into the main base, killing probes there, and then down at the third base as well. But the recall goes down in the back of Hwasun's main. He doesn't have a lot of troops to fight this off. Eventually the scanner goes down and Hwasun's left with no way to detect. So that is GG for Hwasun. A tough game for him. He makes a couple of big blunders here and gives away this series almost. But a nicely played game from Stork. He must be pretty happy with his 2 wins on the day, and Con finally gets their second win of the season.